Greetings! Welcome to another video, and as you can see from the title, thanks to our results on the road to glory with zero money spent, we successfully made ourselves eligible to play in professional FIFA qualifiers this weekend. So definitely expect a video next week with some highlights. If not, you can catch me live on stream on Saturday. That being said, I've been able to consistently qualify for these, matches or tournaments every year that they've been made by EA Sports. So despite the horrific meta that we've seen over the past few years, the horrific servers, and not having pay-to-win teams like some of my peers, it's quite nice for me at a personal level to achieve this sort of small goal of mine. But for reference, please don't say that this is proof that pay-to-win doesn't exist. I would never do it myself. I would never use myself to say that, look, I've done it, therefore pay-to-win doesn't exist. It does exist, and nothing excuses how poor the competitive system is. From gameplay to pay-to-win, it's unfair, and it doesn't matter how many exceptions make it into qualifiers, or better yet, into tournaments using a road to glory. It doesn't matter. Don't use anomalies to excuse this system. But nonetheless, I kind of wanted to use this opportunity to make a video on this subject and this achievement of mine and talk about everything from how I achieved this, kind of like the step-by-step that has been happening this year behind the scenes, how it all works, because I'm sure some of you don't even know how it works, and just some really quick thoughts on the subject. Now, after grinding Elite 1 squad battles, Rank 1, Division 1 rivals, and Elite 1 in FUT Champions pretty much every single week since release, couple exceptions here and there, this is the team that we will be heading into qualifiers with. And before this, if you've been following me on stream or on here on YouTube, these were the teams I had to start. You could see that we did our best to get the best possible rewards, and it was a struggle at first, but over time we were able to work towards some of the top strikers. The progression that led to this team I now have, as you could see from the teams that I just showed on the screen, it was very hard and time consuming, and more on that later on. And still, despite all that work, I'm nowhere near some of my peers. Also, I know to a lot of you this will look like a sick team, and I am content with it at a personal level, for FUT Champs and FUT in general, but trust me when I tell you that EA has absolutely decimated rewards for players at my ranks. From Elite and above, years of FUT have made it infinitely harder for those Elite and above players to grind for the top players. So in comparison to a lot of my peers who have spent hundreds, if not thousands of pounds or euros or dollars or whatever it may be on packs and FIFA points, I'm heading into this qualifier against some pros or competitive players with a massive team disadvantage, like absolutely huge. And some of these players, like a Ronaldo that I've just barely got my hands on, I've played like 3 games with him, He might be good, but there's a difference between having Ronaldo for 3 games and like thousands of games. So like I said, today I wanted to take this opportunity to talk about the whole system, since I'm sure some of you, again, may not know how it works to qualify, and some of my thoughts on it. So first of all, if you are interested in competitive, keep this in mind for next season, since by now, if you haven't done anything, it's essentially probably too late. I don't know, it really depends on your region and console. But at the start of every FIFA, how it works is EA usually tweets out registration forms, stuff like that. So the first thing you have to do is sign up, agree to terms and conditions, link your accounts and all that stuff, and so that you are, all set to try and get verified. Because after that, the first thing that you will need to do is worry about hitting 27 wins in Weekend League. What that does is it grants you verification status. What that means, I'll explain really shortly, but previously that would have been enough for you to be eligible to participate in qualifiers. This year, particularly in Europe on PlayStation 4, because of how many players there are, that isn't enough. The way they set it this year is that every month through Weekend League, you can get up to 30 points that go towards your pro points that get added to your competitive ranking. So it's similar to tennis, how in the pro tennis circuit, players rack up points for their tournament placings. The thing is that for FIFA, like I said, you're capped at 30 points per month. So getting a 29 win or 30 win Weekend League grants you 30 points, the maximum points for a month. A 28 gives you 28 points, a 27 gives you 27, so on and so forth pretty much. Now, as far as I know, these points do not count until you get your first 27. So for example, if in the first month you failed verification and you hit a 26 at best, that means obviously, like I said, you failed verification, but that means you'd also have 0 points for the month of October. Meaning that if you're on PlayStation, the year is pretty much over for you. So lucky for me, I managed to get verified instantly and we got our 28 instantly in October. So for October, I got a 28. I then got another 28 along other 27s in November, putting us at 56 points and top 950 in my region. For context, it's important to know that because only 1,024 get a spot to play. Also, another thing about this system is that because your points are capped at 30 per month, that means that you only get points for your single best weekend league of the month. So if you were to hit a 30 on the first weekend of a month, another 30 wouldn't do anything for you in terms of pro points in the rankings. Obviously, you'd want to get 30 to get better rewards and better players, so on and so forth. But just in terms of the pro points, that's it. 130 would kind of free you up for the whole month. And so now here we are today, 2 months of weekend league down the drain. Now we personally hit several elite ones, but again, like I said, a 28 in each month at least gave us 56 points and qualification to these pro qualifiers. So a few frequently asked questions I get are, do you back yourself, right? Because obviously the main thing I do is content creation, but despite that, absolutely, I know my qualities, I know what I'm good at the game, and I know my strengths. And at the end of the day, if you don't back yourself, then who will, right? If you don't back yourself, you shouldn't even try to play in these qualifiers because like no one, there's no time for pity parties, you know what I mean? And no matter the disadvantage and whatever happens after that, you know, it happens. But at the end of the day, the fact that I've managed to achieve verification and participate in these tournaments from the get-go, from day one, because some people are professional players and some years they had hiccups, which is totally fine, right? But I've never had these hiccups. I'm not even paid to be a professional FIFA player, but I'm always there, right? I'm always there in the pro circuit. So I think that means something. It's just year in, year out, despite the meta, I've done well, so I have to back myself. Now, another question I often get is, do you do this just for the content? Well, I guess, yeah, of course I do, because this is one of those things that ticks many boxes. It takes the box of self-improvement. That is, I as a person want to improve myself at everything I do. The fact that I maintain a high level of FIFA is something I am pleased about, but I also won't deny that if it weren't for content creation, I would have left FIFA a while ago, because this is really what's driving me forward right now. We know how the game is. We know that I don't enjoy it. If it wasn't for content, I wouldn't be here, which brings me obviously to the content creation box. This sort of takes that box because it's an opportunity for me to make an interesting video out of it for you guys. So obviously, like I said earlier, expect a video on how my qualifiers went. No matter how bad I do or good I do, I'll make a video on it. I don't really care, because at the end of the day, you know, the game is so far away from what I think would be something I would be interested in competing in. We all have our own opinions on the game, and that's totally fine. But for me, what the game has been over the past 3, 4, 5 years has been nothing short of a disappointment. So in terms of competing, why would I want to compete in this? It's just the game isn't what it used to be. To be the best nowadays, you have to do certain things that I'm not a fan of, certain things that I don't think have anything to do with football. Of course, I could learn them. Throughout FIFA 19, I played the entire game without doing a single La Croqueta. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy, but I did because I have no interest in doing 50 La Croquetas in a row. You know, passing and defending isn't what it used to be. So at the end of the day, I'll move on without regrets and caring too much. This is obviously all factors that I'm talking about without even considering pay to win. So many variables that play competitive esports in FIFA Ultimate Team. Like, if this was the perfect game, we're still not talking about factors that are plaguing the competitive scene that would make it worse even if the gameplay was perfect. But that is basically all to say that the day FIFA comes out and the gameplay is top class and the setup is top class, the system is top class, there isn't any pay to win or unfair variables, that's the day that I'll truly be 150% behind trying to compete. The bad news is that by the time that happens, I'll probably be 40 years old and my time is gone, but that's all right. I enjoy making content, and you guys make it so much more worthwhile and rewarding than competitive FIFA. I guess the reason I wanted to make this video today, other than the, you know, weird flex, I really do apologize for the flex, but sometimes you just need to do it, man. You just need to look back and see, you know what, I'm quite happy with what I achieved. I think all of us sometimes might never be content, which is good and bad, right? Because it's good because it might push you to work harder, but sometimes you need to look back and be like, you know what, that was pretty good. Like, what I've done is pretty good. And overall, to achieve this myself, despite not being a pro player or paid to be a pro player, you know, I'm a solo man. I'm got nothing but myself backing me. and I've done this without pay to win and playing meta and this and that. And it makes me think, damn, I really wish we had a game that I really loved for the past 5 years so that I could have focused on so many different things and not just content creation. But it is what it is, man. It is what it is. And also something that I find interesting is that, like, in any esport, in any sport, people talk, people talk a lot. You see a lot of comments. Oh, this guy's the best. That guy's the best. So many things get taken for granted, which it comes with the territory, whether it's football, like actual real football, or it's an esport. People just don't take account for so many variables. People like to focus on certain things. You could have two different people who have the exact same result, but all the hype is on one guy over another guy for details, right? Because people are just attracted to certain things. You can have people getting accused of being washed or bad or this when it's so out of context. There's so many variables that you don't account for. I see people on Twitter and social media going on a like panic attack because they had a 27 win weekend league, and they're like, oh no, if I don't hit a 30, I don't know. It feels like a lot of these statements, a lot of things in the world are just lacking self-awareness. Now I'm just getting into general discussion, so I want to end it there. But yeah, to kind of put these initial thoughts out there, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys are excited for the content that is to come. And of course, thank you so much on all the support and the content in these past weeks. It has been absolutely insane, the support you guys have given me, and onwards and upwards from here. Until next time, peace out.